If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
It's my birthday, and I ain't gotta pick up the phone. Yeah, it's my birthday. Y'all should just leave me alone. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. I ain't picking up the phone on my birthday. Hey, it's my birthday. It's my birthday.
Clever use of logo imitating premise, but how many irritated employees had to deal with impatient assholes coming out of the theater saying the movie was messed up? Universal equals not giving a shit about the common folk.
You mean the stupid folk, and rightfully so. The trailer for this film made it painfully clear that Tree would be reliving the same day over and over, and I don't know too many people going to watch brand new IPs without having seen the trailer. What I'm saying is, no one went to complain about the movie being messed up, my dude. Have a seat.
Totally get that previews have scenes all the time that don't make it in the movie. However, the use of "In the Club" was such a huge part of the trailer for this movie, including implying that it was a song Tree's phone kept playing, it's quite sinful that the actual song in the movie was this bullshit.
I don't necessarily disagree, but you are right now implying that the trailer for this film was a big deal. Doesn't this nullify your first sin? If people cared about "In the Club" being her ringtone, that means they'd have seen the trailer, which would mean they wouldn't have been upset about the Universal logo.
Discount Joshua Jackson.
Excuse me. If you think this guy looks like this guy, then I would suggest you talk to Matthew Murdock because someone has stolen your eyes and you need a really good lawyer.
Dude, you hit that fine vagina or what?
Even a rude-ass person like this knows there's a chance the girl could still be here, or that he might be asleep, or that he's not even in the dorm room right now. Who the f*** does this?
Incels that live vicariously through their friends. Next question.
Stop global warming?
Tree is addicted to global warming.
I get the joke you're trying and failing to make, and it is a fail because if she were being a dick to global warming, she'd have signed the petition, genius. But the science suggests global warming is actually a good thing for trees, given that trees and other plants thrive in higher carbon dioxide environments. That's one of the main concepts behind a greenhouse.
Yes, science!
Also, ladies and gentlemen, tonight the part of Ned Ryerson will be played by... Hold on, let me look this up.
Skip.
Even though this movie has zero to do with fraternities, movie still has to show that frat guys are dicks, because, you know, college movie.
Would it be a college movie without showing Greek life? I posit the answer is no.
Also, the movie clearly sets up broad moments so that she will realize she keeps waking up on the same day. But what are the chances she'd be accosted by someone with a clipboard, witness wet couple nookie, hear a car alarm, and see a frat pledge fall over in the span of walking 100 feet?
100%, because that's what happened in the movie. Or are you asking about in reality? Because if you are, that question is entirely irrelevant because A, this movie is not happening in our reality, and B, this movie is clearly supernatural. I guess the Universal logo looping 3 times didn't tip you off. But further, the reason we are being shown these specific things is because Tree notices them. There are clearly other things happening in the background that she doesn't notice, so they aren't brought to the audience's attention.
Yeah, I'm returning to my text.
Suspect roll call starts 4 minutes in. Meet Tim.
CinemaSins watches a slasher and complains about the movie being a slasher.
I mean, who takes their first date to Subway? It's not like you have a foot long.
Aw, man, I was hoping they'd talk for another 5 minutes so that she could finally dust off some of her old Jared jokes.
CinemaSins complains about bad jokes.
Did you really think you could keep it a secret from me? How did you find out? Driver's license?
Considering the number of creepy friends and or former dates Tree keeps around, and her ability to get blackout drunk, I'm more surprised this will be the first instance of someone trying to murder her.
That is legitimately victim blaming. Normally, I would agree with the sentiment that one should attempt to mitigate the amount of dangerous situations they place themselves in. That's just common sense. But aren't you one of them newfangled SJW types that say women should be able to do whatever they want and not have to face consequences for poor decisions? I'm getting mixed signals here.
Also, considering this sorority's view on fatty foods, why did Lori think this was the best way to deliver the poison?
From her reaction to Tree throwing the cake away, you can clearly see that Lori isn't the same type of sister as the others and assume she'd at least have a bite of the cupcake.
I assume you changed my ringer too. Who, me? No.
Hope you don't care who changed the ringer, or why that was brought up, because the movie sure as doesn't bring it up again.
Interesting. The movie answers who changed her ringer from In the Club, and you gloss over the easiest slam dunk you could have made. But the real problem here is that it's painfully obvious that Lori changed the ringtone. That's the implication of this scene, that line, and her face.
Sorry, too many carbs. Toodles!
I'm definitely the killer face.
Bullshit. Nobody, not a single soul, knew that Lori was the killer in this movie. Stop the cap.
And is that chocolate milk I see?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, too.
But I'm not the least bit sorry for Becky. I mean, was that chocolate milk on her tray? What an asshole. Get with the program, Becky.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
Damn, how many times has she f***ed this dude in his office to be able to kick this chair directly underneath the door handle like that?
Just don't get anything on it, please.
You mean like Nick's Nutter Butter?
Wow. I say Danielle.
Oh, come on. You would never go near Nick's Nutter Butter. It's too fattening.
Jeremy yells at the screen cliche.
The most unbelievable thing in a movie that's main storyline involves someone magically reliving the same day over and over is that every person on this campus seems to know the exact path Tree will take every time she walks anywhere.
It's almost like Lori has been meticulously planning to kill Tree for some time or something, meaning that she knows where Tree is going and where she is most likely to go to get there.
And for some reason, Tree is immortal and will get all the chances she needs to solve this case. We never figured out why Phil Connors relived the same day over and over, so why should we here?
Because this isn't Groundhog Day and shouldn't follow the logic of a completely unrelated film? Do you think Groundhog Day invented time loops? Because if so, I have a short story called 12:01 p.m. that Groundhog Day pretty much ripped off. Lawyers got involved in everything, but thanks for the plot synopsis, I guess.
Coincidence stickers.
The S at the end of coincidence stickers suggests plurality. I get the blue one, even if that is a common idiom, but even the hot dog?
Even if it's the same day, there's no way that Tree's timing would be the same. She clearly got up and ready quicker than she did the first scene of this movie. Therefore, Ryan is busting through the door probably 30 seconds before he did on the previous day.
Dude, you're disagreeing with yourself and considering it a sin. You just said Tree's timing wouldn't be the same, and then you said Ryan is coming through the door too soon. Which is it?
Keeping that previous time-lapse theory in mind, it's not possible she would greet the same pervy dude, the protester, the sprinklers, and the frat pledge drop all at the exact same time she did previously. She should be ahead of all these events, and no matter how quickly or slowly she leaves the dorm room in this movie, these events always occur in the exact same way.
Considering it's revealed that there are multiple dimensions, I would assume this accounts for the minute differences in timing that Tree experiences. You know, the multiverse. I won't give you a sin just yet, but you better believe if they agree with me in the third movie, I'm starting you off with 10 sins when I eventually send that video.
It will take at least 5 days for Tree to stop being racist.
Jeremy loves to point out when people are different ethnicities.
I'm totally having deja vu right now.
Did you learn this from The Matrix? Since when does deja vu feel like this, where the entire morning is the exact same thing you just experienced, even if you're not ready to admit that it is the same thing?
But you just answered yourself. She's not ready to admit that it's the same thing. What well-adjusted normal person has a dream about an event, wakes up, and experiences that same event, and assumes their day is looping? On the first loop? I'm pretty clever, and I'd guess that it would take me at least 3 times to realize that. You can barely keep up with Finding Nemo, so spare me.
I miss breakfast.
We all miss breakfast, Becky.
The first time this happened, Danielle said,
What is breakfast, Becky?
I'm all about the ripples in space-time causing changes, but this is the exact thing Becky said last time to Danielle, and nobody outside of Tree has changed their dialogue until now.
So you've picked up on multiple events not being exactly the same, yet you still think they should be the same? Why? You know that by Tree observing these events and behaving differently, she alters them, right?
It's normal for a young girl to have feelings for an older man, but
Jesus, they were like 3 seconds into making out before his wife showed up last time. Now they have time to go through a whole conversation.
So a large majority of this video is going to be Jeremy not realizing there will be slight differences in the time loop due to the actions of Tree being slightly different each day. Gonna go ahead and tack on 20 cents so we can skip this repetitive-ish.
Tree having a dead mother who shares the same birthday is very sad and could explain why she acts so weird and hostile on her birthday. However, the movie indicates this is how Tree acts every day, so this side story adds nothing to the movie.
Wait. Was I the only one that caught that? How does the movie indicate this is how Tree acts every day if you never see any other days?
We find out in a minute this is a surprise party, but who does surprise parties like this? First off, they tell Tree that there is a party, but then they shut down everything and make the frat house look abandoned? It's a wonder she even went up to the door. This place looks like the collector lives here.
What was the sin here for? You said a lot of things and only gave the movie one sin. Was it for the method in which they threw a surprise party? For Tree going up to the door after changing her path? For them telling Tree there would be a party in the first place? You see the issue with Gish Gallops? No one knows what you're talking about or what the point even was.
Guys are playing poker at a hot girl's birthday party, rather than finding some hot girls to play poker with. And all that this double entendre implies.
So, guys not being horn dogs is a sin? Look, man, I'm not against having a good time at a party, but for the record, you are sinning these guys for not taking advantage of drunk college girls. Have I got that right?
That slut.
Who?
Lori. She said she'd be here.
Between this and the weird focus on her having to do a double shift at the hospital, movie telegraphs Laurie as the killer from the get-go.
Again, I do not believe even a minority of people that watched this movie pegged Laurie as the killer. Hell, I'd believe people knew Graves was Grindelwald before I believed this, and I don't even believe that.
Baylor.
Jeremy.
So you get in here now, asshole.
Yeah, zero chance the killer could break the big areas of glass above and below the piece of wood and get in.
Considering she nailed the window portion that goes up and down, they couldn't?
If Laurie's intention was to have Tree eat the cupcake in the morning and die from the poison, then why did she also have this card? Isn't this just unneeded evidence that could point in Laurie's direction if Tree's death comes under any suspicion?
It's funny you think Laurie thought that far. I mean, a simple autopsy and toxicology report would reveal the cause of her death was the poison cupcake. You mentioned how the sisters feel about fatty foods earlier, meaning Laurie would be suspect number one regardless.
Toombs was the subject of...
Mind you, the killer has the remote, but the TV randomly turning on and off and conveniently showing information for the viewer to understand future shenanigans is so Scream 2 that I'm sinning this
Sinning Scream 2. That's worth these many sins.
Okay, fine. Laurie was in the bathroom the whole time, but how did she turn the TV on and off from there? Did she drill a secret remote control hole in the bathroom wall?
Jeremy thinks modern remotes need a direct line of sight with the TV to work.
Okay, out of all the days of your life, what makes this day special? What gives this day meaning?
Thing.
It's your birthday?
How would you know this from a ringtone? Sure, it's blatantly singing It's Your Birthday, but who would actually change their ringtone on their birthday? Especially when the night before she was blackout drunk.
The timing, Jeremy. That ringtone comes across more like an alarm than a ringtone. Seriously, who would ever change their ringtone to, hey, it's my birthday, without it actually being their birthday?
No, seriously, how does Laurie find Tree everywhere she goes? She's not stalking her, or else she would have killed her way before this.
Tree has an iPhone, and in the iPhone, there's a function that allows family members to track the phone. Remember that scene where Laurie slyly implies that she was the one that changed Tree's ringtone? Light bulb.
It makes zero sense that Danielle would have the black envelope, and movie never bothers to explain why she does.
Danielle has the envelope because she is the one that bought it for her. Danielle and Tree are friends, and she's only upset with her because Nick likes Tree. That doesn't mean she wouldn't get her a card for her birthday.
I'm gonna kill you!
Gotta love those bus drivers who see two women fighting in the street and think, you know what, my horn will get them out of the street before I run over them. Yeah, that's much better than putting on the brakes.
Just like in the Terminator video, Jeremy doesn't understand that quickly stopping a vehicle with that much mass isn't as easy as putting on the brakes. Most cars have stopping distances of about 100 feet, and now you're talking about a vehicle that's nearly 5 times heavier.
Your plan totally sucks.
What?
So Tree has to tell Carter this story every day, which means if they end up together, she's going to have this relationship with Carter that she's built up in her mind that Carter hasn't, and he will have no reason to believe that any of this actually happened. The power of boners can even make you forget potentially psycho women claiming to have literally lived through the plot of Groundhog Day.
Lot of sins here. First, she didn't literally live through the plot of Groundhog Day. You mean figuratively. Second, you're simply retelling us the plot here, so narration. Third, we have already seen his reaction to her explaining what's been happening to her, so we know that he's inclined to believe her. Fourth, she doesn't tell him what happened every day, as we see a montage of her following his plan. It makes zero sense for her to go along with his plan and talk to him about it every day. Fifth, Jeremy says boner.
We just got these back from imaging, and these are signs of major trauma. Technically, you should be dead.
This is a really interesting plot point, but it brings up more questions than it answers. If she's been suffering every bit of trauma, then why is she only now having to go to the hospital? She's been stabbed a few times, drowned, and knocked over the head, and the movie never brings this up again.
Another gish gallop. Is the sin for her only now showing the effects of the previous deaths? Or is it for the film not exploring this concept again? Those are two different things that you gave a single sin.
Also, if you're going to do this, you should at least make it matter or explain it more, which this movie never does.
Now you're simply repeating yourself and giving an extra sin for the same thing.
If indeed Laurie planned to kill Tree because she was fucking Gregory, and Laurie was in love with him and thought she had a chance with her out of the way, why would she do this?
She wouldn't. Because that's not Laurie. That's the crazy dude they were talking about on the news.
She brought the fucking cupcake? Did she think that when she chased down Tree like a madman, she'd be able to force feed her this shit?
Again, this is not Laurie, and that's clearly a different candle than the one Laurie put on the cupcake.
Oh, hey. You're up.
Silence!
Okay, I gotta give it to Jessica Rothen's performance in this movie. It's truly the best thing about it.
I agree. You can't tell me she wouldn't have made a better Captain Marvel.
Has the latest on this developing situation.
Don't you love those movie TVs where it's just loud enough so that the hero can hear news that is pertinent to the plot?
Yes, but only because they annoy you so much. It's hilarious how you continue to ask for movies to be realistic. Imagine a 2.5-hour movie of a dude going to work all day, coming home, going to sleep, and then it ends. That's a realistic movie, and that's what you've been asking for all these years. Everything else is too convenient, a cliche, the power of boners, and not enough lap dances.
Can you turn that up, please?
The John Toombs portion of this movie feels more like padding than an actual relevant storyline. Sure, he supposedly killed 6 younger girls, but Tree can't even prove in her flashback that Toombs has seen her. She clearly just sees the cop sitting outside his room, and even the cop doesn't look up at her.
Your mistake was back in Sin 72 when you assumed the person in the costume was Laurie. Laurie framed Toombs by putting the costume on him and undoing his restraints. Since Tree just encountered the masked killer in the previous loop, she assumes Toombs is the killer.
We learn eventually that Laurie gave Toombs the mask and unbuckled his restraints. But why? Even if she's hoping to set up Toombs as the killer by giving him the mask, how would the cops even know whomever killed Tree had a mask on? And what are the chances Toombs even goes to the college campus or anywhere near a Tree? Toombs is never even a suspect unless the cops can place him at the scene of the crime. The only way this works is if Tree randomly goes to the hospital, which Laurie would have no way to know what happened.
Toombs' MO is that he kills young blondes, and this is the school's hospital. It's not that much of a stretch for the police to assume it was Toombs, especially if he escaped and another blonde woman is killed.
Nice gesture and all, but now Becky has no beverage.
Oh no, now she has to spend another 59 cents on chocolate milk. Yes, I went to college a long time ago, what of it?
How does Laurie magically know that Tree is going to eat the cupcake? On all the other days, she was forced to kill her in other ways, and so far today, she hasn't tried at all.
She hasn't tried for one of 2 reasons. The first is because Tree apologizes to her in this loop and seemingly causes Laurie to forgive her. The second is, even if she didn't forgive her, at this point her scapegoat is dead. Did you miss the part of this movie that explains she only pulled the slasher stunt when Toombs was there to take the fall? Tree kills him before he can leave the hospital, meaning Laurie's plan to kill Tree herself wouldn't have a fall guy.
Thanks, but I already ate it last night. Oh my god. I died in my sleep. You killed me.
Tree's Holmesian realization here that Laurie is the killer is awesome, but I'm sitting this shit because Laurie is the worst slasher killer this side of Rebecca Gayheart.
Why? Would you care to explain that? Because if not, I'm inclined to give you a sin for sinning something you like.
So you had to find another way. And then Toombs fell right into your lap.
For Laurie to let a serial killer loose and frame him for Tree's murder, she would have to have been convinced that Tree was never going to eat the cupcake, and that there weren't better ways to poison her. This plan requires Laurie to loosen John Toombs' restraints at the hospital, immediately leave, and find Tree every single time, no matter where she is. Not to mention kill Tree and hope that John Toombs could have done it. This plan makes way too many assumptions.
It also works most of the time, so there's that.
We'll take it down to the police. I'm sure they can tell us what your little birthday treat is made of.
You realize that you're talking to a murdering psychopath, right? Why would you say this and think that you could just leave the room without getting into a fight to the death?
Tree is functionally immortal. People that are invulnerable tend to not be as careful as those of us who are not. The real sin is that she is afraid almost every time she dies. I'd let her kill me, wake up, grab the cupcake, book it out of the room, and send her ass to jail without her even knowing what happened.
Tree beans, Ruby Modine, and the vagine.
Jeremy is an Indian on Facebook.
Laurie's little plot was super lame. Poisoning a cupcake? Really? We're Kappas. We don't eat cupcakes.
Danielle being amazing at CinemaSins aside, well, I'm sure they found poison in the cupcake. How the f*** did Tree explain how she knew there was poison in the cupcake?
Oh my god, who the hell cares?